Good morning. Happy Monday. And by happy Monday, I mean happy continued momentum Monday. I hope that your morning is off to a beautiful start. I'm going to begin with a little ramble, and then I'm going to get to today's topic. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about the power of community and how to leverage community when it comes to increasing your results. So, I was having a conversation with one of my one-on-one clients this morning. By the way, I see that a few of you guys are here with me right now. So if you're here, drop a good morning. Let me see who you are and tell me where are you logging in from. And I want to tell you a couple of things. The first thing that I wanted to tell you is I was having a conversation with one of my one-on-one clients this morning, and she was telling me how she woke up much earlier than she thought that she normally, in according to, when she normally wakes up. She's like, I'm not sure why. And I'm curious to know from those of you guys who are here with us live, if that happened to you too. In the case that you're like, I don't know why it's happening, and it did happen to you too over this morning, it's because obviously on Saturday night, we all had daylight savings. So we actually had a weekend that was 49 hours long instead of 48 hours long. What's up, Tam? Albuquerque. Tam, when are you headed over to Florida? You guys, you may or may not know that this coming weekend we have ES Live. Tam, I'm super excited to see you. And what, are you just coming in here for a minute?
Well, I thought I was going to have a call, but maybe I don't.
Maybe you don't.
What's the topic today?
Today we talk
Sweetheart.
about
Sweetheart.
Well, right now I'm just rambling. I'm just
perfect timing.
What's up, Tam? What's up, Lisa?
Hey, you guys. You know what would be super duper awesome?
What?
If you press the share button on this video and you put it in a Facebook group. That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it. Drop a 1 if you did it. I want to see who did it first. Be the first to do everything. Okay. So
I'm going to do it.
So obviously we had daylight savings this weekend. And if you're finding yourself, oh my gosh, why did I wake up earlier this morning? I wonder if it happened for any of you. If it happened for any of you guys, please go ahead and drop a me. Then just know that it is because of daylight savings. We are nocturnal creatures by nature. What does that mean? That means that our life cycle and our day cycle goes in accordance to the sun. Lisa, okay, it happened to you. Yeah. So like last night, we went to bed at 7:30. Yeah. 7:30, because especially I want to see who are my morning people in the chat. Go ahead and drop morning. Aaron and I are very much morning people. We wake up early regardless of whether or not it's daylight savings or fallback times, whatever you call it. But because in which one are we in right now? Is it daylight savings or is it no, yeah, it's daylight savings, because then it's spring forward. Okay. So you don't have to be anything that you don't want to. You're choosing to be, just so you know. Ashley, I'm excited to see you. And Brandy, I'm excited to see you this weekend as well. So, okay. So with regards to daylight savings, because we are mammals, we are nocturnal creatures. It's literally in our DNA. So our cycle revolves around the sun. That's why a lot of times there are hormonal issues when people don't go to bed early enough, and why if you stay up really late, cortisol levels go up and things like that. It's wild. But anyways, I share this with you because know that nothing creepy is happening. It's just that because of daylight savings, because the sun is now setting a lot earlier, it is also rising a lot earlier. That's exactly why our bodies are literally paying attention to the cycle of the sun. This is also why in the summertime, anyone find themselves in the summertime, like, being able to stay up much later? Some of you guys, depending on what state you're in, you might be having light until almost 10 o'clock, which is wild. And that's why there's, in the summertime, there's kids playing around when it's really late and stuff like that, because we are nocturnal creatures. And one thing that I can tell you for sure is that it doesn't matter how advanced technology gets, our DNA is primal. Our DNA is primal. So, like, my dogs are ready to go to bed at 7 p.m. last night. And so were we. So my first intention for you today is don't try to recreate the cycle, just surrender to it. And if you found yourself waking up earlier today, amazing. Let's get shit done. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of you guys who are going to be in ES Live. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop the link for ES Live virtual at this point in time, because seats are already booked. So if you're interested to learn more information about ES Live, this is a really, really big week for our community, because this is the week where we literally all come together. So whether you're going to be joining us virtually or in person, the in-person experience is a whole other level. And today we're going to be talking about community. Why? Because number one, I want you to be able to make the most out of the live event, whether you're going to be in the virtual room or whether you're going to be in the main room. It's important that you get the most out of it. And obviously what you put in is what you get out. That's like that in anything in life. And also I wanted to bring up the community conversation because we are obviously a part of a much, much bigger world. And this is a very, very big week in the United States because tomorrow is election. And one thing that Erin and I stand for is that it doesn't matter who you vote for, be kind to one another. Can we all make that commitment to one another? Drop the word kind. We all have different viewpoints and opinions. And now more than ever, the reason why the United States is literally shifting is because neighbors, brothers and sisters are actually fighting against one another. And no matter whichever side or whoever you're voting for, like, that is the big picture plan of the media, to polarize us. Not in this house. In this house, we believe in kindness. We believe that it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether your favorite color is green, blue, yellow, or black, that you're nice to the person who is next to you, whether it's your coworker, your neighbor, your accountability buddy, because their favorite color is gray. Okay? Preach it. Awesome. Love that, guys. I love you guys. And please, please, please go vote tomorrow if you haven't already. I'm just gonna, are you guys okay with just letting you in on our day-to-day life? On Friday, I went to vote for the first time. It took me 14 years to become a US citizen. And I officially became a US citizen back in 2022. So obviously this is the first elections where I am allowed to legally vote, which is amazing. So you better believe that we went to do early votings on, thank you, Ramona, that's so sweet. We went for an early vote on Friday, and you guys, the line was nuts. So I don't know if where you live, you're still able to do early voting. Actually, I'd love to know who voted already. Go ahead and drop voted. If you haven't yet, my encouragement to you is go and vote early if you can, because I can only imagine what tomorrow is going to be like. You're going tomorrow. I was actually telling Aaron, because I always remember, because I've been in this country for like 15 or 16 years by now. So I've been through a couple of elections. And I always remember seeing on like the Google Calendar that on election day, like people have off of work. And I'm like, oh, well, now I understand why people have off from work. Between the time we left the house, we stood in line, the voting process is obviously very, very fast, right? And then we left the whatever and we came back home. It was like almost 3 hours. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And for those of you guys who are going tomorrow, like, I would be so curious to see how long the lines are. This will be the first year that I ever voted. Yes, yes, yes. Lisa voted. Sherlyn voted. Mailed mine a few weeks ago. Voted. Okay, awesome. Going tomorrow. If you're able to go in early, my encouragement to you, just from my own experiences, go early. Okay, so that being said, McCammon, I see you here too. Voted. Awesome. So use your voice. Voting is a privilege. It is a privilege. Like, someone like me who was not a US citizen, I did not have that privilege. It's crazy to think that it's a privilege, but it really is. It's a byproduct of freedom of speech. Okay, so now that we've all voting tomorrow morning. Okay, so now that we're all on the same page about voting, now that we're all on the same page for being kind to one another, regardless of what our favorite colors is or opinion or point of view is. Some goes for the donut for fundraiser, Krispy Kreme. Really? That's a thing? I didn't even know that. Where do you live in, Ramona? Where do you live? Okay, so I want to begin with big picture, and then I want to give you a little bit of coaching on how to best utilize your community. Again, for those of you guys who are jumping in, the reason why I wanted to really speak into community, the power of community, and how to leverage our community, because this week is a community celebration week. Because we have ES Live, like VIPs, we have basically a 3-day experience. Premieres, you have a 2-day experience. General admission and virtual, you have a 1-day experience. And our intention is to help you to leverage the most of it. If you're like, what are you talking about with these experiences? So ES Live, I'll tell you a little bit about ES Live and how did that come about. If you've never been to an ES Live, drop a 0. If you've been to one ES Live, drop a 1. If you've been to more than one, drop however many ES Lives you've been to. I want to share with you guys really the intention of why do we create ES Live? Yeah, McCammon, but it's going to be your first one. Brandy, it's going to be your first one. So go ahead and drop a 1. Maybe I did not share that with you well. So let me rephrase. Thank you guys for your feedback. How, like, after this one, will it be your 0th one, your first, your second, your third, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Morgenthaler, this will be my 4th. Shout out to Melissa Morgenthaler. 2 years ago, she got engaged at ES Live. So I'll give you a quick backstory of what ES Live is all about, you guys. ES Live is really all about celebration of community. It's about celebrating you guys. Yesterday, we were basically getting ready for the week, and Aaron thought I was crazy because when we got home yesterday evening, I already laid out my outfits. Like Friday part 1, I'm going to wear this. Friday part 2, I'm going to wear this. And she's like, why are you doing that? And I said this. I said, my intention for this week is to be present, because when I'm present, I'm connected and I'm loving. And, you know, the great thing about the virtual space is that it creates possibility, right? Like Tam is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is probably like, what, 2,500 miles away from me, maybe. And virtually, we're able to connect with one another regardless of where we are. Like, we have some community members who are in the UK, some that are in Canada. We have some that are in Australia, all over the world, right? So that is the beauty of the online space. Now, one thing about the online space that it creates a difficulty is the fact that we still have a screen in front of us. So the reason why we create ES Live is because any of you guys who've met us in person, one thing that feedback that we get time and time and time again is like, oh my God, you're the same person in real life as you are in front of the camera. And it actually blows my mind as to how that is something that is not very common in today's day and age. You know what I mean? Because our community that we build, it stands for authenticity, for being who we are. So I don't know how to be anyone but me. I don't. And the other feedback that I get from people who meet us for the first time is like, oh my God, Sarit, you're so much shorter than I thought you were. Yes, I am. I'm 5'1". Okay. But the reason why we created it in the first place is to celebrate community. It's to come together because through the internet, we create bonds. But I can tell you, when we get in the experience together, when we eat food together, when we can feel one another, when we can joke with one another, when you can tell me, oh my God, you're so short. And then we have lunch together. And then, we crack jokes and, like we learn from one another, and we get to learn from one another and about one another. It creates a deeper level of trust and understanding and bond. And ultimately, guys, that is one of the most important and essential ingredients for your success in this journey. Because let me tell you one thing for sure. It is going to be 10 times harder, and it will take you 10 times longer to get to your goals than you ever thought. So yes, of course, the intention of this year is to help you to cultivate a life that you're proud of. And by aligning your body with every other area of your life, it's to set you up for success. And beyond that, the power is in the connections that we create with one another. So real quick, I want to share with you guys the benefits of community. Number one, and you're going to see this at ES Live, standards. Your community, our community, sets the standard. And that's why, even though tomorrow's elections technically has nothing to do with the ES Army, that's the name of our community, it has everything to do with that. Why? Because big picture, we're all a part of a community that's more isolated than ever, and that is called the United States. It's like brothers and sisters are actually fighting against one another, not talking to one another. As one of our neighbors was telling us story of conflicts that are in the family because of different points of view. It's wild to me. Okay, so the standard that has been set for all of us from a bigger picture perspective is extremely low. It's a standard of polarization, do not trust, versus a standard of do unto others as you would like to be done for you. Okay. So standards, like any of you guys who've ever been to an ES Live, like you experienced that day actually how easy getting in shape is, how easy eating clean food all of a sudden becomes, how easy hydrating yourself is, how fun it is to move your body. Why? Because the environment and the community that you're in sets the tone for your standards, for better or for worse. And that's actually one of the biggest struggles for any person who gets on their journey or or who is on their journey. This is why if any of you guys have ever heard our vision for ever wanting to create an ES farm, that's why we want to do that. Because we don't just want to have one ES live per year. We want to be able to have an in-person place where the community can be alive 365 days of the year. Why? Because community sets the standard. Okay, so that's thing number one. So I would strongly encourage you to assess yourself right now, and just based on how the last 7 days have been for you, based on the emotions that you felt, based on how you followed through with regards to your own self-care, with regards to your nutrition, to your workouts and all of that. How would you rate the standards of the community that you have the closest proximity to? That is probably where you spend the most time. That's probably like your work, your family. Yeah, that. Okay, so assess that. Thanks for dropping that note, Sherlyn. Community sets the standard. The second thing is community provides you with support. It provides us with support. You guys dropping in here, and you're going to see this at ES Live when we hear real stories, sharing vulnerable stories, sharing wins with one another. That's how we create support from one another. Connection allows us to support. Why do you think we do these calls? Why? I do these calls. Erin and I do these calls. She just happened to have a double booking right now, which happens sometimes. We're not perfect. But the reason why we do these calls twice per week is because we want to provide you with support, so that you can remember that you're not alone. No matter what, you're not alone. Because the journey has obstacles. And when going through obstacles not alone, it doesn't feel as painful. And you may or may not have heard, I think it's a phrase or a quote that says, one person can go fast, but together we can go further. And I believe that, and I agree with it through and through. It's about us going further. And lastly, the power of community is that it provides you with a form of accountability. Now, it all depends on the type of community that you're in. Because if it is a community that resists accountability, then guess what? It's going to be the exact opposite. I believe that right now, in the bigger community that we are in, which is called the United States, there is a resistance to accountability. Why? How do I know that? I look at the numbers. You guys, if 78% of Americans, think about it, 4 out of 5 Americans are overweight. Why is that? It's because there's lack of awareness and there's lack of accountability. Ultimately, we all know what's better for us. Let me ask you a quick question. What's a better breakfast to have? A, an Egg McMuffin, or B, scrambled eggs with sourdough toast? Which one is better? A or B? I want to know from you guys. Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Be the first person. Who's the first person? McCammon. B. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Now, the type of environment that we are in either repels accountability or attracts accountability. This community, we stand for accountability, for better and for worse. That's one of our core foundations, because without accountability, you don't know where you are. And how can you know where you're going if you don't know where you are? It's just like a GPS. The reason why we have trust and confidence in the GPS is it's because it shows us where we are at any given point in time. At any given point in time. So like for those of you guys who are in MDBS, go ahead and drop MDBS. There is daily accountability. Why? Know where you're at. There's no guilt, there's no blame, there's no shame, none of that. It's about you knowing where you're at. So like right now, I know where I'm at for the month. 3 days I've already passed so far, and out of 15, I'm at 14 points. If you're not in MDBS and you know that you want to level up your accountability, drop accountability. Maybe we can talk later about that if that's something that you want. Okay, but accountability is key. It's not something to feel bad about if you missed a target. I missed one target already. It's fine. It's about intimacy to detail. So when there is intentionality and accountability, guess what? We now have an environment of growth. We now have an environment for growth. So for those of you guys who are, this is a general message, and this is a message also for those of you guys who are going to be a part of ES Live. I want to help you to make the most out of the event, because I'll tell you the connections that you create by far are going to help you to set you up for success for 2025 the most. Okay. So the first thing, when you are in a community, the way to make the most out of the experience with a community, whether it's at MDBS, whether it's at TS Live, or just the bigger Facebook group in general, is be a giver. Be a giver. If you are looking for an accountability buddy and maybe you've struggled to find an accountability buddy, then I can probably tell you that your biggest gap from a just way of being standpoint is, how have you been approaching it? Have you been approaching it from a, what am I going to get, or what am I going to give? Because here's the thing. When we give, we receive. So if you are focusing from an accountability buddy partnership about just getting, it's going to be really hard to create connection and trust and a relationship. And therefore, it's going to be really hard to create accountability. Okay. So when we give, it is really easy to get accountability from others if that is something that we seek. Melissa, it's good to see you here. Like, for example, I haven't seen you in quite a bit of time. I was a bit concerned about you. So seeing you here, because Melissa is the type of person, she's such a giver. She's such a giver. Everyone knows her in the community. Why? Because she gives. Melissa, I hope you've been given to yourself last week as much as you've been giving to others. Sometimes giving actually has a double-edged sword. So that is actually the importance, especially like, who knows that they're a giver at heart? You're like, I'll give the shirt off my back to anyone. Like Lisa, Lawrence, I know you're that type of person. Melissa, I know that you're that type of person. And if you're that type of person, just go ahead and drop give in the chat. I want to see that. I want to see that. Brandy, others before myself, my Cameron. Michelle Bolton. Wow, Michelle Bolton, it's been a while. Good to see you. Melissa, Farmer, give. Okay. Wow. Okay. Sherlyn, capital give. I see you. So my mom is the same way. My mom is the same way. That woman. Yesterday we were having a conversation, and she was actually sharing with me a story of how she's going to go out of her way today to give to someone else. I'm not going to go into the story because it's irrelevant, but basically how it's going to take away from her. Watch it if you're that type of person. If you are a giver by nature type person, you are falsely giving if you're not giving to yourself first. You're falsely giving if you're not giving to yourself first. So I believe that the greatest form of giving is to pour into you and to pour onto others. Why? Because it allows you to pour onto you. And ultimately, that's why we do what we do, because so many people are, giving to their kids, they're giving to their spouses, they're giving to their job, and they're giving zero to themselves. How do you think their life, their mental health, their bodies, their well-being is going to look like by the time that they're 40? On shambles? Or hella attractive and inspiring? And I'm not saying this to guilt or shame. It's just a measuring stick. But what's important to know is that if you're giving to others before giving to yourself, it's like, imagine a plant giving water to the entire farm, but not getting any water itself. It's going to be dry. So that's what happens to our soul. That's what happens to our body. That's what happens to our mind when we're focusing on giving to anyone else rather than ourselves. So I want to selfishly share with you, for your own sake, if you have not yet gotten your seat for ES Live, get yourself into the virtual room. You cannot afford to miss this. You cannot afford not taking care of you. You cannot afford to not have a plan. You cannot afford to not be in proximity with others to a close degree in a way that will set you up for success for the future. It is simply not okay. I believe you can click on this link. If not, you can just go ahead and check it out at a later time. Okay, you got this. Okay, it's going to take place all day Saturday, by the way. The virtual event. We're gonna begin at 9 a.m. sharp, and we're gonna go till about 5 p.m. So that means like 5, maybe 5:15, 5:30. Trust us, it's gonna be an experience of a lifetime. It's gonna be like the greatest roller coaster ride you've ever been to. So first thing with regards to how to make the most out of community, be a giver. The second thing is be a leader. Be a leader. So what does being a leader mean? Now, of course, there are so many attributes to being a leader, but the biggest one that I want to recognize right now, yes. Kelly's hearing the dog barking. But the biggest one that I really want to bring home to is taking initiative. The habit of taking initiative, the habit of not waiting around to be told what to do in order to do something. Like, and I'm going to call myself forward on this too. And this is just, again, Callie's a great leader when it comes to protecting the house. So is Boogie. They're not here. But how many times have you fallen off in a sense of, oh my gosh, the alarm didn't go off this morning and I didn't wake up in time and therefore I didn't do my workout, or fallen off because maybe it's Monday morning and it's now November, which basically means that it's celebration mode because, you know, everything is now holiday everywhere, and there is holiday dessert at your work, and oh my gosh, it's your favorite dessert that someone brought in and everyone's having it, and then you ended up having it even though you brought your lunch, but it's their fault because they brought the dessert. Giving away responsibility to another thing or to another person is actually resisting leadership. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is being responsible for our shortcomings. It might not feel good in the moment, but when we are responsible for our shortcomings, the beautiful thing about it is asking ourselves, okay, when a situation like that happens next time, what am I going to do differently? What am I going to do differently? Maybe I'm going to set an alarm on my Lady A that I have in the bedroom, not just on my phone. So if maybe I forget to click the yes, make sure it goes off tomorrow morning and it doesn't go off, now I have this another thing reminding me. Okay. Or maybe next time I'm going to lean more into the community or accountability buddies so that when there is those Danish cookies or whatever holiday dessert around, I will not just say, oh, because so-and-so brought it and because everyone else had it, I ended up having it too. Our life right now, our body right now, our level of fitness right now is a byproduct of every decision and every choice that we've made up until now, whether we are conscious of it or whether we're not yet conscious of it. And that is one of the beautiful things about this country, that we have the freedom to think and act however we want to. I will tell you, millions of people around the world don't have that privilege. It's great. It might be crazy to think that it's a privilege, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be in this country, because we do. We have the freedom to think and act however we want to. Okay? So, along with that is be the person to take initiative. For example, if you do not have an accountability buddy, don't just wait around for the perfect accountability to fall on your lap. If October was a difficult month, don't wait for January to come around the corner so you get started with your goals. If you have not yet joined ES Live and you know you want to, don't just wait for it when you have that opportunity in front of it right now. Don't be the person to wait around for someone to pick you up. Be the person that you want to pick up. And then watch and see what happens. The biggest thing that I see in this that holds most people back truly is when an imperfection happens, instead of taking initiative and just turning it around, the self-following. I see it in so many people, and let me tell you something, I struggled with it too. I struggled with it for more than 10 years. It had to be the right day, most likely a Monday. The stars had to align with the sun and the moon, and it had to be 72 degrees. Otherwise, it wasn't the right day. No. Taking initiative means that it doesn't matter what my external circumstances are. It doesn't matter what the weather outside is like. It doesn't matter whether it's a Monday or a Sunday or a Tuesday. It doesn't matter if it's 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. If it's up to be, it's up to me. And taking initiative. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna read a couple of questions and then we're gonna just wrap up today's content. The hardest quarter part of the year starts October through December. Yeah. I'm trying to keep on track. Current weight is 132 and I just need 7 pounds to go. It's a real challenge plus age, not a good combination. Ramona, I want you to be a part of the ES Live. Let us set you up for success going into 2025. Let me tell you, if someone gets to 132, it doesn't happen by accident. But here's what's holding you back, Ramona. You have a blind spot. There is something in your life that you're not aware of that's holding you back. Why? Stagnation means lack of awareness. It's not that you're a bad person. Like, are you kidding me? You're so far ahead. But you know that it's like the term goes, 99% is a bitch. Like, you are there 99%, Ramona. You know that. I know that. Why? Because I've been there. But there is something that you're tolerating right now that you're not even aware of that you're tolerating, or that you're completely unaware of, and that's why you're tolerating, that is keeping you where you are. Why does that happen, you guys? It happens because our mind will always go to the path of least resistance. Always. It doesn't matter how disciplined we are or how little disciplined we are. That's just how our mind's wired. So when people say, oh, it's just easier to have this food, it's because something happened in the person's environment that made a certain food conveniently be placed in front of them more often. So much of the things that hold us back the most are actually solved through environment and community. It's crazy. I'm telling you, it is like the biggest propeller ever. It's the launch pad. I have a bad habit of eating. Yep. But listen, so you know that there's something that's holding you back, but there's also a lot of things that you're doing right. Why? Because the numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? Like, most people have 70 pounds to lose. You're just this close. But also, when you're that far ahead, I'll tell you what's the bitch too. The thing about it is that you're not in pain. The pain is not big. Because you feel good. You're like, I'm 130 pounds, 32 pounds, dude. Like, my life is not on the line. Your confidence is probably, pretty up there. So it's easy to not even bring it to our consciousness. Why? Because our minds want to follow the path of least resistance always. You know what I mean? So that's that. My encouragement to you, we talked about being the leader in your life, being a giver, taking initiative, and the power of community, how it sets your standards, sets you up for support, and creates accountability, which is simply a measuring stick of where you're currently at. Be the giver in your life, take initiative, and share this video with someone that you love, that you believe in. Do me a favor. I, as a person, can only do so much. I'm taking initiative with creating these videos, and I need your help, because we have a very big mission to transform millions of lives through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. Okay. So I want you to think about, who is one person that I know in my life who can elevate their level of support, and they need to be in the right community, in an active, engaged community, not a passive community. Just go ahead and, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, just hit forward and share it with them. Be a blessing to someone. Okay. I love you guys so much. This is the final espresso until ES Live. On Thursday, our 1% group is actually going to have a live session here at our house. So we will not be available for espresso. So if you have not yet gotten your seats for the ES Live virtual, I strongly encourage you to get your hands on it. Okay, I strongly encourage you to get your hands on it. I'm going to drop the link one last time. Make sure you join it. All right. It's going to be incredible. This community, I love you guys so, so much. I'm so excited to see many of you in person in 4 days. Those of you guys who are coming for the premiere and the VIP, I'll see you in 4 days. General admission, I'll see you guys in 5 days. You're wonderful. Have an amazing week. This is the separator of the year. As soon as we enter November, we enter the separator. Most Americans gain at least 9 pounds between now and the end of the year. Let's make sure that we're not those people, okay? So in order to do that, we got to be the leaders in our lives. We got to take initiative. We got to give, all right? So share this video with someone that you love. I love you guys, and I'll see you in just a couple of days. Much love.